Welcome to Still Moon Conversation. I'm Kelvin Bratcher, one of the co-founders of Still Moon Down South Beverage Company, and I'm here today with my other co-founder, Mr. Ralph Frazier.
So people keep asking me, how did we start Still Moon? And how did we get started? And my recollection is, of course, you and I go way back. We didn't go to college together, but I met you through Sean, as I recall. Is that right?
Yeah.
And we all were at homecoming and talking about monetizing the moonshine that we were already bringing to homecoming. Is that your recollection?
Yeah, good old Roxborough Peach.
Yeah.
I can remember all the times and all the milk jugs that we used to tote. And everywhere we went, we always had one of those milk jugs. And so I think we got to the point we almost sort of became known for that. I made a bunch of recipes, got jacked up many a time off of it. And so I would say, I don't really know how it morphed into where it got, but I know we started that conversation.
Well, we started that conversation at Hope's house.
Was it at Hope's house?
I believe it was at Hope's house. We were at Hope's house. It was one of those
I probably was
Hope
drinking.
cookouts. We were all drinking.
Yeah, I was drinking.
And all drinking moonshine, but as a matter of fact. And I think that's when we all sat down, because everybody was there at that point.
Okay.
All the original members.
So it was me, Sean, you, Ponce was there?
Ponce was there.
Okay.
And Gary.
And Gary was there. Yeah.
And so, who I don't even recall who started the process.
So what happened was we were traveling, Sean and I were traveling, we were in Pittsburgh, and we left there, and I just remember everybody being blown away. And so on the flight back, Sean had mentioned that he had a contact that was in the beverage business, and he wanted to reach out to that person because we didn't know anything about it, and try to get some information and see what we needed to do. And so one thing led to another, and that's sort of the intro that we got to the beverage business, for lack of a better way of putting it, and went from there. That was Terp.
Terp. That was Terp. Terp. Yeah, I recall now. Terp had the initial contacts to the liquor industry and put us in touch with the people who could come up with the formulas or help us commercialize the formula.
Correct. And so that relationship led to another relationship, which led to another relationship. And so it's crazy that for 6 people that knew absolutely nothing about the alcohol business, we were actually able to get in the business, get on the shelves in Indiana, and actually start a real business. The thing that struck me.
All those trips to Indiana, man.
I hated Indiana, man. You know how much money we spent?
Cold in Indiana.
Spent a lot of money in Indiana.
We spent a lot of money in Indiana.
A lot of money.
But we had a lot of fun in Indiana.
Yes, we did.
We had a lot of fun in Indiana putting this all together. Those were some good times.
I think probably one of the craziest times was being in Ice Miller's building on the top floor with the main partner looking out into the skyline, and all I remember is like, man, we made it. We made it. I don't know why I felt like that. I just felt like.
And we were just starting.
Just starting.
That was a nice law firm. I remember that. I remember thinking that when we sat down there, I do remember thinking that we're on our way.
We made it.
Yep.
Unbeknownst to us. Yeah. The crazy part about that time was it's almost surreal that you're going through these steps, and we're looking at each other. We're thinking, what the hell are we doing at one point in time? It just felt that way. I mean, we know that we got something, but now what we do?
Right.
And it felt like, it felt as good as it felt. It also felt kind of scary at times, trying to figure it out.
Well, it's still scary trying to continue to figure out the process and continue to figure out how we continue to grow. Going from the woods to an actual distillery. Those are huge moves.
One of the things I always think about, and I don't know if you thought about it, is we were in Tennessee, sitting in that restaurant, getting propositioned essentially to buy our company out. Hadn't launched yet, and I remember this guy walking around the room that was playing concierge to the rest of the team and to the meeting. And the guy says to us, "Y'all are making history." And Sean and I looked at the guy, was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" He said, "Y'all are making history." And so it dawned on us at that time that we were in a space that wasn't necessarily made for us. We were in a space that we were almost having to knock down the door to a certain standpoint, and we should be excited about being in that space. I didn't take it that way. I took it like we've earned our right to be here. This is our time, but
well, we showed them that particular day with the taste test. You recall we taste tested a number of different products that day. We were in Tennessee.
Seville County,
Tennessee, which is the home of Tennessee moonshine.
Old Smoky,
Midnight Moon.
Yeah. The idea that we couldn't be in the same space, or that we needed help from somebody else that didn't look like us in order to get into that space. That's what I take away from that moment. Because
I sometimes think back and wonder what would have happened. Suppose we had sold it then. What would have happened? I wonder. They did build the store, at least that they were talking about. Of course, it was only one store.
It wouldn't have been as much fun. I think all the things, the early morning wake up calls, all the consumption, all the conversations, it wouldn't have been as much fun. I think it happened the way it was supposed to happen. Did we take some lumps? Absolutely. But I wouldn't trade any of that. I think the having the time that we spent together, hung out together, fuss, cuss, cried, I wouldn't have changed any of that. To turn it over to somebody else to say, "Hey, here's a check once a month or once every 6 months or a dividend payout," I wouldn't have changed that. Mm-mm.
It just seems pretty amazing, man. It's only been 6 years, 5 years?
Comes around fast.
It does.
Comes around fast. And so one of the other questions that we get asked, or I get asked, is how do you get into this business? How do I do what you're doing? And so, I always tell people that we've got a lot of black minority owners, not just with alcohol, but other businesses, that we bring all that experience into the boat. But those relationships, we talked about that. So, your relationship, through your family's relationships.
Well, having a team, and it's now 5 people who all have different backgrounds, different experiences, different professions, has been beneficial, certainly, because, we all bring different pieces of the puzzle to the table. Some of us market, some of us invest, some of us negotiate, some of us
drinks.
Some of us mix and drink. And so, and we need all of those people to make it work.
Yeah. The as Yancey would say, the most dysfunctional, smartest MS I know in America are us. But I tell people that it's when we talk about the business, it's a family first. We make all of these decisions based on what we think is best for each other. Good business is always good family business, as I call it.
Well, I think we're building something, man. We're going to build we're building a following. We all come from HBCUs. which I think makes us unique in and of ourselves. I mean, you all went to A&T. I went to Hampton.
That was a mistake.
And North Carolina Central. I went to the finer institution. I know that most Aggies would have gone to Hampton had they been able to.
Yeah, you know, I
tell my friends that
really?
You know, if you work hard, really hard, you'll be able to send your kids to Hampton. Otherwise, you can send them to A&T, and then they'll get a good education.
Is there another black school besides A&T?
Yes, many. Don't forget about the North Carolina Central Eagles either.
Oh, Lord.
Let's not forget about those people.
You got issues, man.
Yeah, well, you know, I have a law degree from that, so.
Yeah, you do have a means to be employed. You do.
It does keep us eating. But really, man, the diversity. I mean, you're a general manager and owner of a car dealership. Gary's a personnel manager for a major corporation. You know, Ponce is a lawyer for a
general
Fortune
counsel
500 company.
Yeah.
You know, Sean is a successful attorney.
Yeah. Got your sister?
My sister Gail, who has the marketing background and the expertise. Bringing all of those talents together has really helped catapult us into
everybody's got
where
their
we are
lane,
now.
man. Everybody's got their lane and their role, and I think that's one. As we've gotten better at this, I think we understand each other a lot better now. You know, I think that we sort of bumped heads initially, but now that everybody's sort of settled into those roles, there's a lot of trust. And so, if you say something or I say something or Gail, Sean, or whoever, Gary, we take that and run with it. We don't question it anymore because it's worked from that standpoint. But that takes a lot of trust.
So, you know, now that we're 5-6 years in and we've got some traction, you know, what's next?
Take over the world, babe. And so I think for us, when we get asked that question, ask for the product, where can we get the product? You know, we're in the media business, I like to call it. We sell alcohol, but we're in the media business. And what I mean by that is that we've got to be everywhere. How do we become everywhere? Known for, whether it's Asia, China, the US, how do we get to be everywhere? And so when I get off the plane, I want everybody to know what that is. Because everybody in the hood knows what that is, right?
Right. No, I mean, I had people recognize what it was yesterday in Greensboro.
How'd that make you feel?
Hey, that's strong. That's strong, you know, to go places and people recognize, hey, I know those guys. Well, you now know you know another one now. And so, you know, that's strong. That's strong. But again, until it's a worldwide recognition, almost like Jordan brand, I'm not going to be satisfied.
No, not at all. It's that's what's so cool about it. But that's also the passion that we have to get up every single day and go make it better. I was flying out one day, and there was a brother. You talk about North Carolina Central. Had a North Carolina Central jersey on. I felt
you were
bad.
Jealous, weren't you?
Yeah, I felt bad for him. But I had my Steel Moon hoodie on, and I'm standing there.
He knew who you were.
And the guy kept staring at me. I didn't know who the hell he was.
He
kept
knew who
staring
you
at
were,
me, and I realized he was staring at me because of my hoodie.
Right, he thought you were me.
No,
Yeah.
no, stop, don't do that, But anyway, there was this recognition of him literally looking at me, and I felt, you know, you can just feel somebody looking at you, but I realized that he was actually staring at my shirt, and probably recognized the shirt.
I don't know why you had Ralph's shirt on.
And probably because he had that other school's name on his shirt, I figured that he knew you, and I was like, huh. So it really kind of pissed me off. I thought I was getting recognized because I was in the shirt, but it sort of felt like maybe he knows you.
Yeah, well, he was recognizing
And he
Steel Moon,
recognized-
and he associated Steel Moon with me. And so that's the key. That's the key. The key is having the brand associated
I felt
with
some
people.
kind of way about that on that plane ride home. Dude,
Well, you should have felt good.
No, I felt good that the shirt got recognized, but I was wondering if he recognized the shirt because of the shirt, or he recognized the shirt because he thought I was you.
He recognized the shirt because of my efforts at branding Still Moon around North Carolina Central.
Why you keep saying North Carolina Central, man? There are other schools besides North Carolina Central.
I know. I went to Hampton
Does anybody ever mention Hampton?
all the time.
Okay, all right.
Those people who are striving better things for their children.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying my drink this morning.
It is awful early.
But this is how it started. I believe it was the morning time when we actually started this conversation. It may have even been before homecoming. I believe it was before A&T's homecoming game when we started the conversation. And so I'm sure it was a morning time drinking session if it was homecoming.
You know, the crazy thing about it is we have traveled enough that this has become so second nature, regardless of what time of day it is. Whether it's early in the morning or late at night, it's.
Hey man, we're gonna get you some help.
I don't need any help.
Yeah, we're gonna get you some help. I'm getting concerned about you.
Oh, that's good. Concerned about what?
So, you mentioned when we were in Tennessee how it was kind of like we were in a space that, where we didn't belong.
Yep.
But that moonshine is really a black product.
Yes, it is.
The original moonshiners were really the slaves on the plantations. They were making the moonshine for the masters. The masters were getting credit for it, but the actual people who came up with the recipes were African Americans. I mean, there's the Jack Daniels story as an example. And they launched this Uncle Nearest, and in honor of who was really Jack.
That. Yeah.
But everybody thought it was some guy in Tennessee who was an African American who came up with this product. So we've come a long way, and we've got these 3 flavors.
So I just had a conversation the other day with Sean, and we were talking about the response that people are getting off the new peach and the flavor profile in Texas. We've got he's making his rounds in Texas, the 12 stores down in Texas, but he said all the feedback has been tremendous off the new peach, along with the apple pie as well. But everybody loves the new peach and this flavor.
So now we got the peach, the apple pie, and the special reserve. Special reserve, of course, is 100% pure corn whiskey, and it's 100 proof. The peach is
60 proof.
60 proof,
yep.
As well as the apple pie.
Yep.
And they're all good.
What's your favorite?
So I like them all. It just depends on what I'm trying to do today.
So what kind of mood you got to be in to drink this?
If I'm drinking the white, number one, if I'm drinking it straight, which is not often.
Did you have to put somebody in jail that day?
Probably. Somebody went to jail that day. It wasn't a good day.
Wasn't a great day.
Wasn't a good day. But
the
apple pie and the peach, I like the apple pie. I think I'm still a fan of the apple pie.
Why you like the apple pie so much?
Because I like apple pie.
Okay.
And if you like apple pie, then there's no reason for you to not like the apple pie. I haven't found. In fact, the apple pie has been successful for me for people who don't drink, who just like it.
No, the flavor profile is crazy, man. Matter of fact, even when we've gone down to done some of the whiskey festivals like Atlanta, the women go crazy over it. Women love the smell of it.
But you remember when we were in Atlanta, bringing that up, the women liked the white.
The reserve, yeah.
They preferred,
some with a little bit more bite to it.
We were thinking that people would like the apple pie a little bit better because it had a little less bite, but it was interesting to me.
The men like the apple and the women like the reserve.
Many of the women like the reserve, which tended to have, has a more of a bite to it.
That was surprising. It really was.
Well, it goes to show you that you can't necessarily determine ahead of time
who's gonna like what.
Who's gonna like what?
Yeah. The interesting thing about that, we were I walked around all the floors. I think there were 3 or 4 different floors.
That was the Atlanta Whiskey Festival.
That was the Atlanta Whiskey Festival, and had a lot of pride in the fact that we were the only minorities there that day. To see Macallan, to see Jack Daniels, Balvenie, all these guys that we always consumed their alcohol, to be in the same space at the same time and on equal footing was pretty cool.
No, man, this is a legacy we can leave for our children if we continue to grow it right.
That was pretty cool.
And it's growing. I mean, now we're available now in North Carolina.
Yep.
And some of the ABC stores were actually on the shelf, and then others were available as a special order. And I remember when we first started the special order, you had to order the whole case.
They changed that.
They changed that rule now, so that you can
that.
go in even if we're not on the shelf, and you can order a bottle. But the good thing about that is that the store has to order a case, which means that if somebody buys a bottle, then we've still got 5 bottles left in the store.
Right.
And that helps. That's actually how I was able to help build traction in the stores in Durham. Because
what's the wait time now for North Carolina?
Wait time now it's about 10 to 14 days.
Okay.
On a special order.
Okay.
It just depends on the timing of the shipping, and then sometimes enough that some of the lag has been within just the ABC getting it from the warehouse. I mean, it may get to North Carolina and then it takes the ABC warehouse.
It's funny. Everybody assumes that we own the warehouse.
Right. Well, people call
company.
me all the time. Want to know why can't I just get it from you? Which is what we stopped. That was the whole point of the meeting at homecoming was, let's get away from being able to get it from me, and let's get it where you can get it somewhere else.
How many phone calls I get? Why don't I just buy it from you?
Yeah, well,
can you bring me a bottle?
If
you come to get your hair cut, can you bring me a bottle? I'll cut your hair for free. I don't have any hair, but can I cut your hair for free?
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about?
Well, he shaves my head. But my point of it is, I was like, y'all can go to the damn ABC store. No, I won't get it from you. And so, that backwoods trunk, backdoor mentality is sort of how everybody still sees it at times. But they're coming around. I mean, we're doing a better job of pushing everybody to the stores and to the website.
And so then, we also just got into Total Wine.
Yep.
So we're in how many stores, Total Wine?
It's 24 locations spread out between, you got Maryland, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Louisiana, and Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, 24, 25 different locations.
And all of those stores are on the website?
All those stores on the website. Got a lot of feedback. I get people reaching out to me all the time. Somebody reached out to me just late last night and sent me a picture from Townsend, Maryland. Matter of fact, they just went in and bought the product. So
yeah, and so a friend of mine was in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sent me a picture, said that he had just gone and gotten a bottle.
Georgia's got Alpharetta and Kennesaw.
So right near Atlanta.
Yeah. But the feedback has been phenomenal. That was a blessing. That's the interesting part about it is we didn't ask them, they asked us based on them sampling the product, hearing about the product, seeing the information online. They reached out to us. And so that was one of those aha moments, like we sort of made it, but
well, it's a huge opportunity because if we do well in those stores, then theoretically then they're gonna roll us out in their other locations.
Right. So everybody's got to support it. We got to support black business, whether it's us or you or me, but we definitely got to support it. And so that's what's been crazy about it, the amount of love that everybody is showing us and the amount of support that everybody's showing us to get the product out there, to get the word out there. And so one glass, one drink at a time. Hey, so look, I just thought about something. Before you come out to see me next week or whenever the hell you come to see me, I had asked your friend to bake me a Steel Moon bundt cake with the apple pie.
Oh yeah.
And
so, speaking of the Steel Moon bundt cake, you know that these flavors, man, are just amazing. And what you can do with them, not just to drink them, because drinking them is just amazing. I mean, they're excellent in their own right, whether you drink them, and in particular the peach and the apple pie, whether you just drink them kind of straight like we're doing, or whether you mix them with other things.
I just know that bundt cake's
remember
great.
that apple pie mimosa I made?
Yes.
Was just amazing.
Yes.
And that apple pie bundt cake that Kim made was just incredible.
Well, that's because you got this
and then I've had a
profile,
peach
man.
cobbler
That's
with
just
the
crazy.
peach, which was also amazing. I mean, it tastes just like peaches, yet you still get that little buzz.
Well, you know, everybody always says when they take the top off of that and they smell it, they get the cinnamon, they get the apple, they get the sweetness, you know, and then as you start to drink it, you know, you get this whole some warm sensation that runs down you, and so it's one of those crazy things because the scents and smell are so strong. It makes you think about different things. It makes you hungry. It makes you thirsty, just because of the flavor profile of it.
Well, and like I say, I know people that don't drink that enjoy both of those. Yeah. I mean, I've had people who I know that don't drink who have told me, Ralph, you know I don't drink, but I do like that apple pie.
When they say they like the apple pie, they like it because of what?
Well, it's the flavor. It's smooth. It tastes like apple pie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't have a strong bite to it.
Yeah.
And you know, people, and like I say,
I can attest to that.
You can bake with it. You can do anything. The white, I tell people, anything you can do with a vodka,
you can do with the white.
You can do with the white.
Yeah.
Whether that be a daiquiri, whether that be a martini, whether that be
instead of goose and cranberry, you can do reserve and
cranberry,
yeah.
reserve and orange juice. I'll tell you what I like, and that's just because I like a little stronger flavor profile typically.
What's up?
I kind of mix the white with the apple pie or the peach.
What do you call that?
That's my special 50-50.
That's your 50-50?
50-50.
Yeah.
All right. I call them 50-50s. Me and my cousin Marcus actually came up with that. The 50-50.
Yeah. The 60 proof needed a little.
Well, the white cuts a little of the sweetness out of the apple pie and allows.
So that was the original cocktail.
And gives you a little bit more flavor profile from the corn whiskey. And I like the whiskey piece.
I can see that. I can see that. So the benefit of being able to cut it is that if you say, hey, I can't drink the reserve because the reserve is too strong, but I like the taste of the apple, and so for those old school guys that want the apple but also want the bite, you can do that 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's me. I'm the old school guy who wants the flavor and the bite.
I just thought about that. That is a good. You know what? I hadn't tried that. Do you get jacked up quicker that way?
Well, I mean, it's 100 proof.
It is
It is 100 proof. So I mean, you got to be careful.
You got to be careful.
I mean, the other two are 60 proof. I mean, you dump 100 proof on the 60 proof, and you probably jump it up to 80 proof.
So what can you know what? What about peach cobbler?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Kim made one of those, and
so how do I get my pie?
It's
man?
better than grandma.
How do I get my pie?
Hey man, I don't. That's on you. That's on you.
So, the gist of it is, this is a multi-purpose elixir.
Well, it does help with colds. Now, I will tell you the other thing.
You remember
Warm apple pie?
Yes, sir.
Warm apple pie.
It's better than Vicks Vapor Rub, baby.
Better than Vicks Vapor Rub, better than that Jack Daniels and honey that your grandma used to give you.
Yes, sir.
Can't beat
It's
it.
crazy.
And something about warming it opens up the flavor profile so that just even smelling it is kind of almost like, it's almost like sniffing horseradish. It's almost like taking some horseradish and the way it opens up.
We were in Nap, and Gary actually warmed up some that morning just to try something different to get the day going, and I just remember soaking it all in and smelling it, and it immediately ran through my whole body. I mean, when I hit it, I mean, it's, I'm telling you, the closest thing to Vicks Vapor. I mean, it's like smelling salt. I mean, it just literally.
I hadn't tried this, but it probably would be good in coffee. I hadn't tried that. Probably would be good in coffee.
A little whiskey with your coffee.
A little whiskey with your coffee. Some people do that. It's not my thing, but
a little whiskey with your coffee.
A little whiskey with your coffee.
So, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
So you told me that you do the 50-50. Are you doing the 50-50 with the peach, or are you drinking the peach straight?
I actually, personally, I do the 50-50 with both.
You got problems.
I told you, the peach.
You have problems.
Just like the apple. I mean, I know I've talked a lot about the apple, but the peach, just like the apple, is smooth as silk. It's got an incredible peach flavor profile.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten only really good responses from people, and again, just like the apple pie, I've gotten really good responses from people who do not drink. Kim doesn't drink
and likes the peach. Why she like? What did she say about that?
She just said that she liked the taste. And it's not. It doesn't have a bite to it, or any real bite. And of course, you asked me again, what have I mixed it? And of course, I have.
That's what's scary about it.
I want the bite.
That's so. I get asked this all the time in terms of, why we're so different from everybody else. So with it being 100% corn versus 70% one thing, 30% something else, 80% one thing, 20% something else, you have that consistency. And so
it's much cleaner.
I always tell folks that you don't wake up with any kind of hangover. It's 100% organic.
It's gluten-free.
It's gluten-free. And everybody looks at me like I'm crazy. I said, no, I'm telling you the truth. But at the same time, because of that, the idea that you're literally drinking something that's I call it from the earth, almost from that standpoint. So it's you don't have any kind of hangover when you wake up in the morning. None.
No.
None. And as much as we consume,
well, I mean, that was part of our goal, man. This is the sophisticated sipping shine.
True that.
We didn't want people to drink our moonshine. While it came from the backwoods, this is the evolution of moonshine.
Amen,
We're
brother.
coming from the woods to the bars,
to Wall Street,
to the tables, to Wall Street.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a great point. The evolution of moonshine.
We're coming from the backwoods to the cities.
Yeah.
And so that's
that's why we chose
that
bottle.
That's why we chose the bottling. We've chose we've gone through a couple of different bottles, but all of them were chosen to kind of distinguish us from the average moonshine.
What's always crazy is when I get those pictures from Total Wine or from the ABC store, etc., to see us, because everybody, depending on what store it is, sometimes we're in the whiskey selection. Sometimes we're in the moonshine selection.
Well, the bottling has allowed us to be diverse.
And so when you see those other mason jars in our bottle, we just look out of place on the moonshine shelf. We moonshine is underage whiskey, but at the same time, the big brother is the big brother, and we belong with big brother as opposed to the guys that are in the mason jar. We always stand out. When I see it on the shelf with all those mason jars, it's like you can't miss it.
Well, I mean, and that is the difference.
Can't miss it.
That's the difference. Because I've had some of those mason jars, and that headache that we talked about that you don't get with our product, you do.
Yeah, for sure. I talked to the kids that are coming out soon for Father's Day. I've gotten a lot of requests for orders for Father's Day, as well as Mother's Day.
Mother's Day too.
My mom is hooked on the apple pie, and so what's interesting is I tell people all the time, everybody comes up and even when I'm in California and I try to explain to them what moonshine is, they know what moonshine is right off the bat. I mean, it's just one of those iconic things that it doesn't matter where you're at, they know about it. And so I think that's a huge thing that I never really thought about, how Still Moon travels. We always say Still Moon travels.
Well,
that's
you
why
got to
Still Moon
remember
travels.
that most people in the city came from the country. So, you know, moonshine, you know, is a thing of nostalgia for some people, but for others, they are quite familiar. And like I say, you know, for those who had grandparents that came up during the time of Prohibition, it was moonshine or nothing.
Right. So you had a birthday, you had a holiday, Christmas.
And Christmas gifts. The bottles are great Christmas gifts. You know, people, again, it's baking time, it's baking season.
Mm-hmm.
I know people who love to get it around Christmas and Thanksgiving so that they can add it in with the. Tell you what, I hate talking about the apple pie, man, but I marinate meats.
Really?
I marinate meats in the apple pie.
You doing your meats in the apple pie?
I marinate pork in particular. I've marinated some lamb in the apple pie before.
Really?
It's amazing what you can do with it when you get.
My brother called me, and so for Christmas, which I didn't even think about it, but we used to do it all the time. So he was doing reserve and eggnog.
Well, so
reserve and eggnog.
The reserve.
And we used to.
I tell people all the time, anything you could do with a vodka, you can do with reserve.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. The you know, when we talked about and I just celebrated a birthday. You've got a birthday coming. You know, we were always consuming alcohol during those times. And so when you think about those holidays coming forward, you know, I tell folks that, you know, when I go home, everybody's drinking moonshine. You know, whether it was for somebody's birthday or whether it was for Christmas, whether it was for Thanksgiving. You know, once everything settled down, everybody always went to that one spot. And
that's how the memories were made, man.
And they pulled out that bottle.
Think about the card games and the conversations and the, you know, just, you know, the experiences that we've all had just over a glass.
And so now,
I mean,
instead
think
of
about
pulling out that mason
we're
jar,
having this conversation this morning
over
a glass of Still Moon.
So instead of pulling out that mason jar, they pulling out this bottle now. And so that's what's been so satisfying to me. The guys that were the traditional backwoods moonshine drinkers that, you know, got it in the milk jar, got it in the mason jar. When they have this, they like, whoa.
Well, and so honestly, that's really the ultimate compliment. Because I mean, you and I both know that there's good backwoods moonshine,
and there's bad,
and there's bad backwoods moonshine.
For sure.
And so, you know, when some of the backwoods guys tell you that you got something,
that's saying something. That's saying something. And that actually, I got more excited about those remarks from those guys that I did the taste test with, that really wouldn't walk themselves into
those guys don't even go to the liquor store.
No.
All they drink is what they make.
They'll say, hey, I'll go get that.
I'll go get that.
I'll go get that.
Yeah.
That meant the world to me.
Well, and I mean, that just goes to show that the product.
Yeah.
It goes to show that the product is top notch.
Well, Gary and his, you know, great granddaddy did a hell of a job of. You talk about the evolution. We perfected granddaddy's recipe, but I don't think we imagined, as we sat and tried to figure out where it could go, and we started thinking about the evolution of it from the bottle to the taste to now the iconic nature of moonshine. Is like, you know what, this could actually be in Main Street. This could actually be on Wall Street, downtown Manhattan, just as well as it could be in Farmville or Farmers Union.
You know, we're in the Roof Chris in Indiana.
That's true.
So, I mean, you know, and that's, you know, that just says something. I mean, as far as I know, we're the only moonshine in a Roof Chris.
That's crazy.
And Roof Chris wouldn't put a mason jar on their shelf.
Right. You are 100% correct. That was probably the biggest decision, one of the biggest decisions that we made when we first launched, is that we knew that we were better than everybody else, but how do we show it? And so that bottle, that recognition of that bottle was a big deal. Because we knew we had a moonshine product, but we wanted to be in that whiskey category. In order to be in that whiskey category, we had to have a whiskey bottle.
Well, it's the sophisticated
Sip and shine, baby.
Sophisticated sip and shine.
Absolutely,
man.
absolutely. And
Not your granddaddy's moonshine.
Mm-hmm. So people always ask, due to the time, say, hey, why did you guys change bottles? So it wasn't one of those things that we did intentionally. You know, part of it was, the biggest reason was just COVID. And so we couldn't get this bottle, which we love that bottle, and we changed to this bottle, one, because it's made in the USA, because it's not a bad thing that it's made in the USA. This bottle was made outside the USA. And it shares a relationship with some other companies, but you know, the product is a product. You know, it tastes what it tastes like. And so regardless of what glass it comes in, it still tastes great.
Well, I mean, again, it's not a mason jar.
Nah, far from it, man.
It's a whiskey bottle.
Far from it.
That you can put on any shelf, in any restaurant, bar, hotel, you name it.
Far from it. And you know, that's why I said I'm always proud to see that bottle up against any mason jar. When you look in Total Wine, when you look in the ABC stores, you know, it just stands out. So everybody said, how do I find my product? I said, hey, your product, go to the liquor store, look in the moonshine section and look for that bottle. He said, well, how am I gonna know? I said, because you won't miss it because of that bottle. That's the cool thing about it, because everybody else is mason jar, man.
Yeah, no, it definitely stands out from its appearance, from its taste, from the flavor. It's just a great drink, man. It's just a great. We've done a good job. We've done a good job. We've got a long ways to go. Because we got to get to that worldwide recognition.
Worldwide. And so that's the daily goal, daily discipline of trying to be great. As I tell my son all the time, there's no such thing as being average. This is not an average product. And I think he's understanding now, the boys are understanding what Dad does as it relates to this particular deal. And that's always cool too. You know, to see their recognition of what is Daddy doing, what does that mean?
So let's talk a little bit about that, man. How do you think this and our I'll call it small successes at this point, because we're not where we want to be.
Right.
How do you think that impacts our children?
That's a great question.
Particularly as African American men.
That's a great question. So, you know, I think for me, you have to set that example in the bar for them, but at the same time, they get to see it real. I think sometimes with the social media area that we live in, everything is just a click away. And so to be able to see something that is your family, to be able to see something that you're that close to be able to experience that, see it grow and develop, be able to have conversations about it. You know, where's Daddy going this week? You know, why is Daddy doing this? You know, and you give them things to wear and promote, and you explain the story behind it. You know, so I got a 18-year-old walking around with a Steel Moon shirt on.
I had a 13-year-old walking around with a Steel Moon shirt on.
But they say it's always cool to say, hey, well, my daddy owns this company, and so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But it's a lot of responsibility with it too, because you want to be able to leave that legacy behind for them, right? You want to be able to build something that they can live off of, but nurture and take care of it at the same time. And so you get gratified by it. There's gratification for it, for sure, but there's also responsibility with it. But that's the biggest thing for me. We talked about initially, and I know Sean would say this all the time, this is a legacy, this is a legacy, this is a legacy, Steel Moon legacy. You know, hashtag Steel Moon legacy, he would say sometimes. And so it was never necessarily about the money when we started this. You know, we talk about alcohol in conversation, we talked about legacy. And so now it's become a business, and that's why, we sometimes get upset about things or stay up all night about things, because it is a real live business. But the gist of it was that let's build something that we enjoy and love, but also that we can leave Trey, we can leave Kyrie, we can leave Sharif, we can leave Justin, Ryan, etc. on down the road. That was a big deal. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, no, to be able to grow this business into something that, either we can leave as a business or we can leave a fortune to our children, that would make it all worthwhile.
Absolutely.
That would make the grind all worthwhile.
Absolutely.
That would make everything worthwhile.
And I think when you think back to that meeting in Tennessee, I think that was one of the reasons why I didn't want to sell. When we got offered, hey, you can come in and do this, you can come in and do that. You know what? If we're going to do this, let's do it. We're still blessed to be 100% ownership. We haven't diluted, and so that was the big portion of it. If we're going to do this, let's just go do it.
Well, my thought was, if we're going to have to dilute, we need to wait. I thought that was too early.
Yeah.
To dilute our situation.
Yeah.
I think we needed some more ground traction.
Yeah.
Before we start thinking about partnering with someone who, quite frankly, may be able to take us to the level we would like to get to.
But it's something, you know what? It is a business, but there's still something to be said about it's my business. It's your business. We answer to the 6 people that we are involved with, and no one else. And come rain or high water, at the end of the day, we did it our way. And so, if that takes us in a different direction down the road, so be it. But at the same time, it's pretty cool to be 100% black owned.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
No doubt about
that. For sure. That's just the way I look at it. And so for me, who's the next big relationship that we can get? Is there some company out there? Well, hopefully it's black owned. If there's a national company out there that we can partner with and say, hey, let's break bread and take our premium product, combine it with yours, let's go to the moon. And so I use that expression, let's go to the moon, because of Steel Moon. But what's funny is everybody assumes that the company is named Steel Moon. The company's not named Steel Moon.
The company's not named Steel Moon. Steel Moon is the name of the product.
I get that. So
Down South Beverage Company.
I get asked that all the time. Is your company named Steel Moon? No, it's Down South Beverage Company. And so a lot of people don't know that, and I always laugh about that. And we were sitting. I remember when we were having the conversation, trying to figure out the LLC and what we were going to call ourselves. And Sean came up with that name, and it resonated. It really resonated, and it stuck.
Well, I think what's next is let's taking this product to the moon. And since we have a beverage company, that means we should have other beverages.
That's a good point.
I share with my children that they come from greatness,
mm-hmm.
and that great things are expected of them.
Absolutely.
And by that same token, we should have some great things expected of us.
Absolutely. Would not disagree with that, brother. Sip Steel Moon.